friends, I am Dr. Parveen Sharma. I welcome you all in this session. As we have started discussion on the topic perception, now in this session we will continue with the discussion, and here in this session our focus will be on the internal factors which influence the perception. We'll see what are the factors which are related to one's internal aspect which influence the perception. So, one is the expectation. Our perception and behavior is very much influenced by our expectations. One's perceptions are colored by expectations, because what do we expect? We try to find out, or we try to see that particular thing or that particular trait or particular quality in the persons who are under our observation. So, our expectations contribute a lot in our perception, because our perceptions are colored by our expectations, and after expectation comes our inner need. Needs of the people do contribute in experiencing stimuli. People tend to respond to stimuli as per their needs. What happens when the needs of the individual are not fulfilled? What happens? Then one starts wishful thinking and one starts imagining the things. If the person is not getting or fulfilled or that need in reality, then starts daydreaming or imagination or wishful thinking that I am doing this thing, I am getting this success, because in reality person is not getting that thing. So what happens? As Freud had said, that daydreaming is the technique of reducing the tension wherein the person perceives the things which are consistent to his or her wishful thinking. Freud had said long back that daydreaming is also a technique to reduce the tension of the individual, but when it goes in extreme, then it is not good for the mental health of the individual. It should be in a strict manner, but our inner needs when are not fulfilled, one tries to imagining, start wishful thinking or daydreaming that I am getting this thing which I am not getting in reality. So our needs or wishful thinking, they also influence our perception. And response disposition. What is response disposition? Try to understand the term. This is the tendency of the people to perceive the words easily which are familiar to his or her values. Because suppose you are a doctor, so the words like medicine, stethoscope or the thermometer or the hospital, these are the words in his or her active vocabulary. So the person, if into that field, will perceive those words very easily because one is familiar. Same, for example, if you are a teacher, then the chalk, class, school, books, the duster, these are the words which are in the active vocabulary of the teacher. So this is the tendency of the people to perceive those words with which he or she is familiar, because those words are in the active vocabulary and familiar to that kind of values. So will perceive those things very easily because one is used to those terms. And after response disposition, see perceptual defense. What is the perceptual defense? It refers to deny the existence of conflicting information. One may distort the new information to match the old one. See, I am talking about two things. First, in perceptual defense, individual will try to deny the existence of conflicting information. If some of the information one finds that they are of conflicting nature, then will try कि ऐसा हुआ ही नहीं, will try to conflict. One may distort the new information to match the old one. And the another second aspect is when one is perceiving the new information, will try to distort the information, will try to set the information to match his or her old information or beliefs or opinions. So, person may acknowledge the new information but treating it not a representative one. So, this is what we mean by perceptual defense. Then comes the response salience. What is the response salience? It means a set of dispositions which are determined not by the familiarity of the stimulus but by persons on cognitive predispositions, because initially person has been trained to look at the situation from one point of view. It means person will see the things which are not the facts but what he or she wants to see according to his or her cognitive ability. So, will try to look at the situation from one point of view, one perspective. So, this is what we mean by response salience. And further, we will see after this what is the perceptual organization. In the beginning, when these terms came in the reference, I had told you that we will discuss this perceptual organization, these terms in detail. What do we mean by figure ground, grouping, proximity, similarity, simplification and closure? How these contribute in our perception. So, let us discuss one by one. First, we will see what do we mean by figure ground in perceptual organization. See, perceptual selectivity deals with the factors affecting the stimuli for further processing, but perceptual organization deals with the manner in which selected stimuli are organized in order to make sense out of them. Because earlier when we talk about these three stages, that first we select the information, we perceive the information, and after the selection one tries to organize, and after organization one tries to get the meaning by one tries to interpret so that one can make some sense out of them. So, see, what is figure ground? It is based on Gestalt principle of totality, because we see the things in totality, not in the parts. According to figure ground principle, one learns to organize stimuli on basis of their importance. More important stimuli is treated as figure and less important stimuli is treated as ground. Suppose you are going through a book or you are reading a newspaper. So, paper is ground and letters are figure, because the more important thing is known as figure and the thing which is of secondary importance, which is less important, will be known as ground. So, we may take the case of an organization, good for performance and maintaining relations with senior. What do you count as figure and ground? Try to understand it more. One has to get success. So, there are two things, either you perform well or you maintain good relation with the senior. So, what do you count? You perform well, then it is figure. If you focus on maintaining relation, it is known as ground. So, this is what we mean by figure ground in perception. So, after figure ground, we will see what is grouping. It refers to group the various stimuli. It follows uniformity, as it is based on the principle of totality. So, it is the tendency of the people to organize or keep the things or keep the stimuli in grouping on the basis of uniformity. Then how do we group? First, we count the proximity. The stimuli which are in proximity or closeness will be perceived as a whole. So, it is on the basis of physical proximity. It might be possible that efficient persons may be stamped as inefficient. See, try to understand this point. In an organization or institution, you make the groups, that this group will perform this activity, this group will perform this activity. Suppose there is group A and there are 10 people in that group, but the task is not accomplished within the given time, and the head says that the A group has not performed well. So, it might be possible that in that group of 10 members, 2 or 3 may be very efficient, but when they were grouped in that group, so all the members have been stamped as inefficient. It could be possible 2 or 3 people were efficient, but when they were working in a group and the task was not accomplished, so all were being stamped as inefficient. This is what we mean by proximity in perception. And after the proximity, say similarity, how we group the things on the basis of similarity also. If the stimuli are of similar type, will be perceived as a common group. This is simple phenomena, simple fact, that when we make the grouping, the things which are of similar type we put in a one group. So, after similarity, simplification. No, we are talking time and again that we select the information, we select the stimuli, some of the information, some of the stimuli are selected for process and interpretation and some are left out. So, how do one does it to make it simple and concentrating on more important and use information? One tries to select the information which are more important and which are more useful, and the less useful, less important will be left out. This is what we mean by simplification. Then closer, in case of having incomplete information, person will try to fill up the gaps to make information more meaningful. Past experiences, past data may be used in this process. For example, promotion in job or gradation. So, you have to give promotion to anyone or gradation. Then if you have as a head incomplete information, then you will see the file of that fellow, and you will see you will put a glance or look on his or her past performance, past experiences, and you will make your opinion, meaning by you will try to gap that, try to fulfill that gap. That is what we mean by closure, on the basis of past experiences and past data, because you are not having complete information. So, when you try to fill the gap, that is what we mean by closure in perception. And after closure, interpersonal perception. It means when a person perceives another person in day-to-day life, people perceive one another. We observe one another and we are free to make opinions and give judgments. But we don't have to be judgmental, already we have discussed. We have to deal with the facts, not on the basis of our liking and disliking, but even then we try to judge each other. But various factors are involved in it. Some of them lie in perceiver, while some may lie in the person being perceived. Two things. When we are perceiving the other person, two facts are working. First, what we are thinking about that person, and the other, how the person is being perceived, what are the situations. So, two things are involved in it. Then you see in this picture, what do we see? Both the person, they are trying to perceive each other personality and they are trying to judge each other. So, we will see how the persons try to judge each other, what are the factors influence their perception. See further, three aspects: factors in perceiver, factors in person perceived and situational factors. We will discuss in these three categories. First we will discuss factors in perceiver, yani we are perceiving the other person, so what our internal factors are contributing, how they are contributing in perceiving the other person. So factors which are lying in the perceiver. C, perceiver's personality, mental set, what kind of personality we are possessing and what is our mental set when we are judging the other person. It also contributes a lot, because in using attribution and shortcuts in the form of first impression, halo effect and stereotyping, they count. We will discuss first impression and halo effect and stereotyping. Personality of the perceiver. Before that, I would like to discuss first impression. It is said that first impression is the last impression, but sometimes it is not correct. For example, you have gone to meet a person and within a short time you make opinion about the personality of that person with whom you have gone to meet. It might be possible that time that person in the office may be in a angry mood. उसी से पहले, आपके जाने से थोड़ा देर पहले उसने अपने किसी एम्प्लॉय को डांटा है, उसका मूड कैसा है. So you make opinion that he is a very aggressive. So first impression are sometime not correct. Then the halo effect. Sometime you try to judge the person on the basis of one quality. Suppose there is a person in an office who always comes in time but hardly does any work efficiently and is not cooperative with the colleagues, but the head is all the time appreciating that particular person is coming in time. So it means the head is ignoring the trait of the good performance and the interpersonal relationship and focusing more on one trait. So that is known as halo effect. So we are not supposed to perceive the person on the one single trait. We have to judge the personality of the individual in totality, and sometimes stereotyping in our own personality. When we judge a person or an event or any situation, we already have some stereotyping or some beliefs in our own mind and we do not see the facts. So these are the factors which are lying in the person. And personality of the perceiver, it is the tendency of the perceiver to project his or her personality traits in others. This is known as projection. Moreover, person tries to find in a person what she expects to find, what he expects to find. We try to project our own personality in the person whom we are judging. This is known as projection in psychology. Then, this is known as self-fulfilling prophecy. This follows the principle what we perceive is governed by what we expect to be present. So, the perceiver starts to think as per his or her beliefs, attitudes and expectations. Then further we see some people judge others as per their personality, like distrust, honesty and loyalty. If you are honest, you will focus more on the trait of honesty in the person whom you are being judging. And if you are finding that the people these days are distrusting others, so you will focus on that. So it depends what is lying more effectively in your personality, because you are trying to project your own traits, your own personality when you judge the other person. Then Anais Nin has said, we do not see things as they are, we see things as we are. It means we are not bothering about the facts in reality, and we are bothering more what is our expectation and what do we like. So we think as we are. Then mental set. How a person will react in a given situation depends on his or her mental set. How one perceives the situation or other person favorably or unfavorably depend on what is going in his mind, because what is our mental set at the time when we are judging the other person, that also matters. So after the mental set we see attribution. What is attribution? I have discussed with you first impression, halo effect and stereotyping. But let us see what do we actually mean by attribution. See, it means to find out the cause of event or why a particular person behaved in a manner. According to the attribution theory, it is to be judged whether the behavior of an individual is influenced by internal factors or external. Try to understand it more clearly. Sometimes we already create a cause in our mind of a particular event, and we are forced टू थिंक ऑन दोज लाइन्स. ऑलरेडी हमने पहले ये सोच लिया कि ऐसा होगा, और जब वो ऐसा हो जाता है तो हम सोचते हैं कि देखा हमने तो कहा था कि ये काम ऐसे ही होगा, बिकॉज ऑलरेडी वी हैव क्रिएटेड ए cause of that event or that situation or that happening. So that is attribution. So it is clear that an individual has control of internal factors but not on external. In this connection, three factors come to the forefront which influence these internal or external conditions. Further, these three factors, they influence both the internal as well as the external condition, that is distinctiveness, consensus and consistency. Let us discuss in brief these three conditions. First is the distinctiveness. It means the degree of change in person's behavior in different conditions. If the behavior improves in good conditions, then it is externally caused, otherwise internally. Then consensus. It is the degree to which a person's behavior is similar in given situation. If this degree is high, it is external cause. And the third one is consistency. It is the degree to which a person shows consistency in his or her behavior. If it is same over time, then it is internal cause, otherwise external. For example, habit of coming late to office. So these three factors, they influence the internal as well as the external factors. Now, as we have discussed the first impression, it is the general tendency to evaluate a person's behavior on first impression, which may or may not be correct. We have discussed it. Then halo effect. It means when you judge a person's overall personality and behavior on the basis of one single trait. Mostly it takes place in performance appraisal or in interview. Suppose you are conducting an interview, you are to select persons for some vacancy. So you prepare your questions on the basis of that questionnaire. You judge a person on that criteria, and sometime those answers given by the applicant may not be true. So sometime the halo effect comes. Then stereotyping, we have discussed when you judge a person on the basis of characteristics of the group to which she or he belongs. Some prejudices are already associated with particular class or person. This distorts the perception. Sometimes we make wrong prejudices about class, about caste or about any individual or with any group, but we have to realize that there are the individual differences. Then as we label that particular caste is miser or hardworking or selfish and so on. So it is wrong to put labels on the basis of caste or the religion or on any basis. factors in personal perceived status. It is seen if a person is having high status is considered to have many qualities as compared to a person having low status, because if the person is of a good status, you will ignore the drawbacks of that person. Here it reminds me a very famous चौपाई from Ramayana written by Shri Tulsidas ji, समरथ को नहीं दोष गुसाई, means कि जो पावरफुल व्यक्ति है, द पर्सन हु इज ऑन ए गुड स्टेटस, his or her drawbacks will be ignored. Then after the status, visibility of traits. Some traits may be hidden in any individual like sincerity and honesty, etc. In such case, to evaluate that person, you need closeness. In its absence, the judgment may be false. It is quite possible that some are the traits, some are the qualities which a person is having, but you are not aware about those traits of that person. So for observing or knowing those traits, you have to go close to that person, otherwise the judgment will be false. Then situational factors: perceiving oneself accurately, being empathetic, communicating more openly, enhancing self-concept, and avoiding common perceptual distortions, and having positive attitude are the situational factors. We'll discuss them. See, perceiving oneself accurately. If you perceive yourself accurately, it will help you to perceive others accurately. Simple thing: trust begets trust, love begets love. If you do not know about yourself, how can you expect from yourself that you will judge or perceive the other person in a right manner? It won't be possible. So it is essential to perceive yourself first in a accurate manner. Then, your perception creates your reality, because your perception is making the basis for the reality. So it should be very apt, which should be very accurate. Then being empathetic, it means to understand the problems of others from their angle. It is helpful in perception because you have to realize the problems of the other person for the correct perception, and for that you need to be empathetic. Here I would like to quote a famous lokokti: जाके पैर न फटी बिवाई सो क्या जाने पीर पराई. Means you have to be empathetic, you have to understand the problem of the other person. So it is essential to put yourself in the problem of the other person. Then communicating more openly. In the absence of clear and open communication, right information and masses do not reach to a proper person, so it may create problems. So try to communicate openly. We see in this picture that people are communicating openly, and it leads to clear and accurate and correct perception. So it is essential. Then enhancing self-concept. There is a long list of successful people who could accomplish tasks successfully because they had high self-concept. Such people can understand and perceive others in a better way. So it is essential to enhance your self-concept for the correct perception. If you want to perceive others correctly, enhance your self-concept. Then avoiding common perceptual distortions. Some factors like halo effect, stereotyping, and others affect perception by distorting the information. It needs careful analysis of the situation. We should not try to distort the information for our suitability, because it takes away from the reality which is not genuine. Then having positive attitude. Lastly, a manager or head can perceive the things or persons correctly if she or he has positive attitude. Negative feelings and personal biases will not allow you to perceive the things or persons in a correct manner. So it is my sincere suggestions also to everyone that if we want to have correct perceptions, we should have positive attitude, and we should get away from the negative feeling and personal biases when we are judging the persons, events or situation, because we should not allow our personal biases to perceive the things or persons if we want the correct perception. So I hope now it is clear to all the listeners and viewers that what are the external and internal factors which influence perception, and I hope understanding of these factors which influence perception will help you to perceive the world and yourself in a correct manner. Thank you.